All right, welcome back to another episode of the Psychopedia podcast. I am your co-host, Hank Sinatra, here with I think she's here. She's so small I can't even see her, but make a noise if you're here. Very good.
I'm here. Investigator Slater is here.
We are in the hizzy.
Yeah.
Investigator Slizzy and Tanks and Izzy.
That's right.
Remember when everyone talked like that in the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
White people? It was so embarrassing.
It's the anniversary shizzo.
What?
The anniversary show on Z100.
Anniversary
The
shizzo?
anniversary shizzo. Over and over and over.
My God, terrible.
Yeah, it was rough.
Well, we're here.
We're here.
Okay, and we got what I can only assume is a banger of a case, because every case is a banger.
Well, I will say this. Remember when I was going to podcast by myself?
Yeah,
right?
No.
I know. Well, this is not the one that
Why'd you set it up like that?
Well, would you let me run with it for a second?
Misleading as fuck, but go ahead.
No, this was the next case on deck, and I'll tell you why I didn't do it. I cried so many times reading the book that I used as like my main source for this case, that I could not go through with it. So I've literally been sitting on this case for over a year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can't wait to cry on camera.
Because I will tell you that the book was written by the victim's mother.
Wow.
And it was excruciating, but it was beautifully written. So I'm definitely going to let everybody know what the book is called.
Okay.
And encourage people to buy it.
Yeah.
It's rough, but it's a beautiful read.
Well, I have my glasses on today, so.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, very astute.
All right. Good.
Astute, studious, Stuthoff. All those words is what I look and feel right now.
Cool.
If you're here and you're listening, thank you, first of all. Big thank you. It's never lost on us that you chose to click on an episode and listen to it. If you did that and you've been doing it for a while, maybe subscribe. I don't know. It helps us a lot if you love us and you want to support us. If you don't, no pressure, zero pressure. I don't subscribe to any podcasts.
I know, but we should.
But I listen to a ton.
But now we understand the other side of it a little bit more.
I actually have been.
Good.
I subscribe. Do you want to hear the most insignificant or inconsequential subscription of all time?
Sure.
I subscribed to Mr. Beast.
Oh, wow. But let me tell you, it's not insignificant to him, although maybe it is to him. But,
yeah, he's got 250 million subscribers.
Yeah, but to get there, he needed all those clicks.
And that is the point.
Exactly right.
Is that all the individuals that are you listening right now, you all matter, and we notice.
Yes,
so
we do.
Subscribe, leave a review on Apple, rate it on Spotify, whatever.
We still
Check.
read and take screenshots and send it to each other when there's a good review, because it props us up emotionally.
It does. It does. We need it. We need it a lot.
Yeah, apparently.
And also, if you love the podcast and you love us and you're not getting enough of us, which I relate to because I love the podcast, go over to patreon.com/psychopediapod and you can get episodes of Unhinged, which are us revisiting a case, barely. So without further ado,
Try again.
Why?
That's just too vanilla.
Well, guess what, Mrs. Chocolate, or whatever you think you are? I have a sign coming for the studio that's custom carved wood and is going to say, without further ado.
Oh, my God.
So
I can't wait.
You're going to have to get used to it. I also have a custom wood carving that's not on the background. It's like whatever. That's going to say Shabusiness. But then I just yesterday ordered. You're going to lose your fucking mind when I tell you what I ordered. It's a customizable stop sign.
Okay.
With Arby's on it.
That is amazing.
The Arby's Octagon.
Where'd you find this stuff?
Etsy. It's
right?
a real problem for me right now.
I know.
It's everything I think of, I type it in and they have it.
Well, there was one thing that they didn't have that I was trying very desperately to find, but in a way it was a blessing in disguise that they didn't have it, because then I created it myself.
Perfect.
I wanted the Morticia sign that said, person, you're creepy, and then a picture of Morticia saying, thank you.
Yeah.
So now it's a picture of me dressed as Morticia saying thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm getting that printed instead.
That's going on your side.
Obviously.
Right?
You should only be so lucky to have it on your side.
So much stuff coming. This studio is about to be laced out. But whatever. We're doing this because we're on video. Go over to YouTube. Go over to www, right? .youtube.com.
The World Wide Web. Yes.
Did you ever hear that www is actually more syllables than World Wide Web?
Oh, that is so funny.
It's double or triple. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. YouTube, Psychopedia podcast, type it in, watch on there. You can watch a little bit. You can listen. If you hear us say something on the audio that sounds visually entertaining, or you want to see her reaction or my reaction to something, just head over there, and you can use the timestamps to find out where you are rather than watching the whole thing. I do that all the time.
Wow, thanks for that tutorial.
No problem. All right, so without further ado, because it is what it is,
okay,
why don't we get into the case?
All right, let's go. At 8 a.m. on a bleak Sunday in 2010, gray skies loomed over Maesteg, South Wales, foreshadowing the grim discovery that would devastate Sonia Oatley, a recently divorced mother of 3. Sonia had been combing the streets since dusk, fueled by the overwhelming fear that something had happened to her 15-year-old daughter, Becca, who hadn't come home the day before. Along with her brother Roger and daughter Jessica, Sonia scoured Becca's last known whereabouts, hope and dread driving all of them through the silent town and shadowy woods. Their search, marked by a growing sense of despair with each passing minute, was abruptly interrupted by the chilling ring of Roger's cell phone. The color drained from Sonia's face as Roger, pale and shaken, relayed the message from Linda, their sister, from back home, saying, "Stop searching. Come home."
Oh, my God.
And in that heart-stopping moment, Sonia's deepest fears were confirmed, her reality forever altered by the loss that loomed over them, which we are going to discuss in detail today. Because today, we are talking about the truly outlandishly devastating murder of 15-year-old Rebecca Aylward. As a mother, this case was absolutely excruciating to learn about. And I mentioned in the intro that I read the book written by Sonia, who's Becca's mother. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever read, truly. But Becca's story deserves to be told, and Sonia has told it so beautifully in her book that I just hope today I can do her justice.
Sure you will.
So let's go for it. Rebecca Becca Oatley Aylward was born on February 28th, 1995, and off the bat shared an extraordinary bond with her besotted mother, Sonia.
What does besotted mean?
Oh, she was like taken. She was absolutely head over heels.
Yeah, I've never heard that word.
Really?
Besotted?
Yeah.
Never.
Okay, well, now you have.
Now I have. You're right. Learned something.
Sonia's nickname for Becca was Lil Doll, L-I-L Doll.
Like Wayne, yeah.
Yeah. So I just remembered somebody at work used to call me Lil Bit because I'm kind of small.
Yeah.
But she used to call Becca Lil Doll because Becca had chocolate brown curls, rosy little cheeks, and a perpetually smiling face. She was, quote, perfect in every way. And this is obviously according to Sonia. Becca was a bright, inquisitive, and creative child who loved to learn, and she excelled at school. By the time she reached secondary school, which I had to look up because we don't call that here in the U.S., goes from ages 7 to 11.
Oh, ages 7 to 11. And then what? High school is called college in Europe, right?
I think in some parts, yes. Yeah. And then university is what we call college. Becca already knew exactly what she wanted to do with the rest of her life, and she would detail her plans, her goals, her visions in her diary. So she intended to perform well at school, check, attend a top university, study law, and then train as a barrister, which is an attorney that specializes in advocacy and litigation. She planned every detail of her future wedding and was a doting, loving little mommy figure to her younger siblings, Jack and Jessica, and promised to always look after them. As Becca got older, her bond with her mother, Sonia, went from strength to strength. They would talk about anything and everything, from hopes and dreams to clothing, shoes, nail polish colors, boys, everything. On the flip side, Becca's relationship with her father, John, had been a bit strained since he and Sonia divorced. According to a woman named Dr. Carrie Nixon, who's a forensic psychologist, Becca's somewhat complex relationship with her father may have influenced her decision-making later on when she started dating boys, particularly one boy,
oh God,
the one in question today, named Joshua Davies. Becca met Josh in 2008 when she was only 13 years old at Archbishop McGrath Catholic School. Josh came home with Becca after school one day on the bus to have tea, which is dinner, with Becca and her family. And everyone in Becca's family immediately took to Josh and loved him off the bat.
Really?
He was appealing in every single way. He was tall, handsome, witty, charming, personable, and easy to be with.
Was he funny?
I did say witty.
Okay, you're right. Stupid question.
Never stupid.
Well, wait till you hear it.
All right, let's go.
Do they speak English in Wales?
Yes, they do.
They do, right? Okay, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
They just have a Welsh accent.
Yeah, and obviously words are different from words here in America.
Yeah.
But yes, they speak English.
That's the base.
So Josh really melted right in with Becca's family as if he'd always been there. And he would spend weekends at the house, wake up early, cook breakfast for the entire family like he was one of them. While Josh was close with pretty much everyone in Becca's family, he was particularly hell-bent on remaining tight with Sonia. Mm-hmm. He used to tell Becca that she'd never be able to have another boyfriend because Sonia would never love and accept another boy as much as him.
Who told her that?
Josh.
Oh, red flag.
I mean, one
By the way,
many.
For young people listening, I feel like that's a very common, almost believable lie or line that people give. You will find someone else.
Yes.
And they'll be better. And they won't tell you shit like you'll never find somebody better than me. Mm-hmm. So if you ever hear that, go running for the hills.
It's a red flag, exactly. And as we continue to build upon Josh's profile here, it's all going to fall into place.
Unless it's a joke, because I do tell Jessica that she'll never do better than me. But it's like, obviously you're better than me already. So.
Oh, God. Okay, but as time went on and Josh grew more and more comfortable with the Oatleys, his mask of normalcy began to slip ever so slightly.
At that age?
Yes. This is what's truly terrifying about this case is what he goes on to do and the things that happened before he does what he does. Chilling that he's so young. Suddenly, Josh started behaving more on edge and seemed unable to physically sit still for more than 5 minutes at a time. He started demanding to read Becca's diaries, which prompted her to start hiding them in her mother's room away from his prying eyes. So it's like boundaries are just like disappearing. He's crossing all lines. He's getting controlling. He's getting possessive. He's getting dominant.
And he's 13?
13 to 15, because they were on and off for a little bit. But yeah, they met when they were 13.
I can't imagine caring that much about anything at all.
No. Well, I didn't even knew boys existed when I was 13. Like, I can't even believe that she has a boyfriend who's spending weekends there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On one occasion, Josh even picked up one of Jack's toy foam bats. Remember, Jack is Becca's little brother. He started waving it around wildly while proclaiming which of the following statements.
Pop quiz?
Pop quiz.
Early.
Yeah, I know. A, that he wanted to use the neighbor's recently hatched chicks for batting practice.
Oh, my God.
B, he wanted to join the Ku Klux Klan.
Okay.
C, he wanted to see how far down someone's throat he could plunge the bat.
C.
No.
A.
Nope.
You wanted to join the Ku Klux Klan?
Mm-hmm. So here you have this boy who's super charming initially, very smart, very athletic, very popular in school, acclimates into this family, and like a switch, all of a sudden now he's proclaiming that he would like to join the Ku Klux Klan so that he could, and this is a quote, and this is from the book written by Sonia Oatley, so these are not my words, so he could, quote, hunt the blacks and hang them all from trees.
What the fuck kind of house did this guy grow up in?
This is what is even more chilling. He grew up, by all accounts, in a beautiful, normal, quote-unquote, stable home.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe is right.
Yeah.
Maybe is right. So Becca immediately recoiled at that horrific statement and was absolutely shocked and mortified by his sickening behavior.
He said that in front of the family?
Yes, he did.
Oh, my God.
So they'd had an argument, understandably, following that comment, which apparently was just one of many arguments given the nature of their on-again, off-again relationship. Becca wouldn't take crap from Josh, and she had no problem going head-to-head with him, which, according to one of Sonia's close friends, Lynn Barrett Lee, was one of the things that Josh actually liked most about Becca. Because
she didn't back down?
Right, because he was otherwise used to people hanging off his every word and always submitting to him. He was sharp in the tongue, he was overly confident, he kind of had that top dog alpha personality. He needed to always be in control, and most people in his large circle of friends and family tended to just fall in line with that. And on the one hand, that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, he kind of liked, maybe in a sadistic kind of way, the pushback that Becca would give him.
Well, to him, it's like a sparring partner.
Exactly. It's toxic is what it is.
Oh, yeah. They're way too young to be arguing.
I know.
I at that point, if I had a girl that liked me, I never would have said anything other than, you're right, you're amazing. I can't believe how lucky I am that you're paying attention to me because I'm a fat, young, blonde kid who idolizes Chris Farley. And wow, just wow.
Well, I was a short brunette with braces, a little chubby, very pale skin, who also idolized Chris Farley.
Stop it.
True.
You can see why they put me and Dave together.
Exactly. So until that point, Josh had otherwise been considered a respectful, well-brought-up boy from a nice family. Born in 1994 to his mother, Haley, and his father, Stephen, Josh was raised in a nurturing, tightly knit family environment.
How does he even know what the Ku Klux Klan is? He lives in Wales.
I don't know how to answer that.
And this is 2010. I guess the internet is raging at that point. You can find any information you want.
And he was all up in the internet.
Okay, we're going to hear about that?
So Josh really was described as being a wonderful older brother to his two little brothers who were actually around the same age as Becca's two younger siblings. So even their families were like very parallel, very aligned. He generally steered clear of trouble. He excelled academically, and he abstained from typical teenage pitfalls like smoking, drinking, fighting. He was really just like a typical, maybe even more than typical kid because he excelled at everything.
Was he like a cool guy?
He was. He was
popular?
Very popular, yes. His hobbies were wholesome and varied, so he enjoyed quad biking, was an avid reader with a particular love for history and fantasy literature, and had a passion for computers. He did also start collecting antique knives and swords at the age of 9, but according to Haley, his mother, this wasn't a sign of Josh being disturbed, but rather he was just genuinely interested and intrigued by the history of those items, which I mean, I can see. Yep. I collected crystals and glass eggs.
Glass eggs?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're cool.
Oh, nothing about the energy they give off?
Probably when I was younger. Now I'm like, the fuck are those?
This one gets rid of zits.
If only.
I know.
So throughout his relationship with Becca, 15-year-old Josh, okay, so we've jumped ahead a little bit, constantly tried to assert his dominance and maintain control. Now, according to the forensic psychologist that I mentioned a little bit earlier, Dr. Carrie Nixon, this is not an uncommon dynamic in adolescent relationships. Teens do not have the benefit of hindsight yet or the emotional maturity to understand what a healthy relationship looks like or that their behavior towards their significant other has consequences.
Yeah.
And the person on the receiving end of that type of behavior, in this case Becca, may interpret that controlling behavior as love or protectiveness. And I've been there before, so I get that. At the very least, that type of behavior, it's attention. And at that age, attention equals validation.
And love, yeah.
Exactly. So clearly, this was a recipe for a very toxic relationship. But again, they were so very young to be dealing with such a serious and problematic dynamic. Then, in January 2010, Becca and Josh's relationship, which had lasted about 3 months at that point, came to a very abrupt end. Mm-hmm. After enjoying a seemingly happy and normal weekend together, one that Josh himself has described as being one of the best weekends he'd ever had, Josh decided to suddenly end things with Becca via text message.
What coward.
And the specific reasons for their breakup remain unclear. But I believe that Josh, in a highly calculated move, intentionally had an epic weekend with Becca. They stayed at her house. He allowed her to paint his nails, which there's actually a picture of. Mm-hmm. There's all these photos of them laughing like over this one particular weekend.
Yeah.
Kind of like he was memorializing this really great time together. And I think he did that just to tear Becca down at the end of it by breaking up with her.
Yeah.
It's like he giveth and then he taketh.
Well, yeah,
if you willeth.
In a different way.
Of course. Yeah. Because by building up these cherished memories, he was then able to inflict maximum emotional turmoil on Becca when he tore her down.
Yeah.
This wasn't merely a breakup to me. It was a premeditated act of emotional cruelty designed to leave Becca devastated in the aftermath of choreographed sweet moments together.
And this weekend they spent was with who? Like their family?
Her family.
Oh, okay.
So in these photos, you can see her siblings, and they're just having pillow fights and painting each other's nails. It looked like a sleepover, like a slumber party, like really, really, really fun.
Yeah.
But looking back on it now, through the benefit of hindsight, very calculated.
Yeah, the lens changes things.
Pop quiz.
Okay.
What is this intentional behavior called? Like the giveth taketh, basically, right? Like where he purposely built her up just to tear her down.
Okay.
A, the polarizing effect.
Okay.
B, the pendulum effect. C, the push-pull effect.
The push-pull effect.
Yes. Do you know it?
You know how I know
Shocking. Because you smart.
I'm sad.
Oh, no. That backfired.
Me and Damian went to an abandonment workshop together years ago. Mm-hmm. It was me, him, and about 40 women. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot. They talked a lot about push-pull.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So for those who don't know, in psychology, especially in terms of relationships, the push-pull effect refers to a cyclical pattern of behaviors where one individual alternates between emotionally drawing their partner closer, which is considered pushing, and then distancing themselves or pulling away, creating a dynamic of instability and uncertainty.
I think it's the opposite.
It isn't. I looked it up because I also thought that. Yeah.
The point remains.
It does.
Yeah.
In the context of an abusive relationship, this manipulative tactic is used by the abuser to maintain control and power over their partner, creating a confusing environment where the victim remains hopeful for the return of affectionate behavior, thus making it more difficult for them to leave the relationship.
By the way, how old is he at this point?
15.
I'll speak for myself. I've done that and been involved in that. For me, it was totally unconscious. Like, I didn't know I was doing that.
Interesting.
It was, at that point, I mean, at 15 especially, I mean, this guy's obviously advanced, which we're going to hear about. But I think it's just because if that's the way you've done relationships, if that's the way the dynamic was with your parents or siblings or whatever relationships you had when you were younger, you just think that's how they are.
It could be.
Like you said, you don't have the benefit of hindsight.
Right. Or it could be, even if he wasn't experiencing that at home, I think it could just be something that was part of his unique cocktail of being not okay.
It's not good.
It's terrible.
It's not good, but it's not always diabolical.
Right. In this case, I believe it was knowing what he wound up doing, but I think that's a good point to make.
Yeah.
And we live and we learn, and they didn't have any past to go off of.
Yeah.
So it's understood, basically, that Josh wanted to make Becca suffer by breaking up with her. But much to his chagrin, this did not happen.
Really?
Really. Because after the breakup, Becca thrived.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She moved on with her life and even began dating someone else, a boy named Josh Humphreys. This, of course, only caused Josh Davies to want to exert his control over Becca's life even more.
Back-to-back Joshes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He started behaving antagonistically towards Becca and started spreading vile rumors about her, launching a full-on hate campaign, both at school and online.
I don't like that at all.
At all. He attempted to destroy her reputation by telling everyone that she was pregnant and instructing all of their mutual friends to turn against her so that she'd feel socially isolated and alone. Josh had no issue getting classmates and friends to follow his lead because he was charismatic, he was commanding, and he was highly manipulative. He threatened to ruin Becca's life, and according to her best friend, Irving Smith, Josh even threatened to kill her. In fact, Josh began posting messages on social media, including Facebook, MSN Messenger, and Bebo. Do you know what Bebo is? I do not.
I may have heard of it.
Okay. If you don't know what it is, then...
I have Fubo.
I don't know what that is either.
That's like a cable.
I have FOMO.
I have JOMO.
Was that a mom joke?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to know what JOMO is?
Sure.
You're going to blow right by it?
I mean, I don't know what any of this stuff is.
Well, it's not a real thing.
Oh.
It's the joy of missing out.
I have that. I live that every weekend. I'm in my PJs doing jack shit.
So glad I'm doing nothing.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
I'm really worried that our event, like an hour into it, I'm going to be like, I'm good, guys. It was so nice meeting you, but it's past my bedtime.
Have a great drive back to Canada. Thanks so much for coming.
Just kidding. I'm super jazzed. So anyway, he's on all of these social media platforms, okay? And he's saying in coded language, which was combining letters and emojis, this was like his coded language, that he wanted to kill Becca.
Okay.
And Josh's friends would respond to these sickening coded threats in jest, often egging him on in the mistaken belief that he was messing around, which, I mean, I can understand why they would think that. I don't love that they egged him on when he's saying he's going to kill his ex-girlfriend, but I do think 15-year-olds fuck around like that.
Yeah, I don't hold any blame for those people. Like, you're not...
Not yet, anyway.
Why?
I'm planting some seeds. Yeah. Josh was obsessed with maintaining his social status and impressing people. He always wanted to make people laugh, always wanted people to notice him. He always wanted to make sure that he kept his position at the top of the social ladder.
What's wrong with that?
He was bald. He was jacked. He wore glasses.
He loved Jay-Z.
Exactly.
He was a psycho.
And Slater's out.
Yeah.
He had no problem, in all seriousness, stepping on Becca's neck to prop himself up.
Oh, that's good imagery.
Oh, thank you.
I don't like it, but it's vivid.
Yeah, it is. It was this sense of power and control that Josh was truly after and got off on. Due to his young age, Josh could not officially be described as someone having narcissistic personality disorder, but it is safe to say that he did indeed exhibit narcissistic traits.
Yeah.
It was always all about him.
Actual narcissistic traits.
Yes.
Not TikTok narcissism.
No.
Okay.
And not what I tease you about.
I want to deliberate between the two.
Correct. Yeah, it was a good point.
Because one is dangerous, the other one is just human nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, despite the fact that Josh was behaving like the piece of shit that he was and is, Becca still loved him. And some small part of her still hoped that they would get back together, which is why 7 months after Josh texted her randomly on Saturday, October 23rd, asking to meet, it sparked a flicker of hope in Becca's young, pure heart.
Yeah, you forget how bad it was.
Yeah, I mean... This invitation to meet opened the door to what Becca envisioned as a potential pathway to reconciliation, a chance to mend what had been broken and possibly rekindle their relationship.
Of course.
She was so young. It's so easy to say, why would you want to, get back together with somebody who treated you like that? You can't do that.
First of all, one of my favorite sayings of all time, it's hard to see the picture when you're in the middle of the frame. When people from the outside go, this person's so bad for you. Why would you do that? Why are you still with them? Why are you going back? I don't know. I have no fucking idea. I'm drawn.
That was such a visceral response that I truly felt. You just go, I don't know. I love that. No, because I thought you were going to be like giving, which is fine too, all of these reasons why somebody might get back together with somebody in that situation. And there are reasons, especially in an abusive relationship dynamic. It's reasons that you can't even begin to comprehend.
Yeah.
But the fact that you just go, I don't know. I don't know. I just felt it.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's easy to look. It's almost like you have a spell cast over you.
Yeah.
And you can't see past the romance, which is why I'm not a huge fan of the word romance or romantic. To me, it means dishonest. Like you're forgetting all of the bad stuff, intentionally or not, and only remembering the good stuff, which in certain situations is good.
Yeah, because how would you describe the good parts then?
Well, like my mom claims I never cried as a kid.
Oh, that's a different type of romance. That's like a...
No, it's the same. It's dishonest, and it's not the whole picture. I'm not saying dishonest in a negative way. There's no connotation to it. It's just the truth. Like you're leaving some stuff out.
Okay.
I definitely threw up in my dad's mouth.
Yeah, but that didn't make you a bad child. I threw up in my mom's hair at Oliver and Company, the movie.
Gross.
Yeah, it was really nasty.
You sound like a bad kid.
So Becca was over the moon that Josh texted her and said that he wanted to meet up with her.
Yeah.
So that morning at 6:30 a.m., Sonia ran Becca a pink rose-scented bubble bath since Becca had been too excited to sleep in.
Really?
Yes.
So her mom knew and was whatever.
Well, Sonia had her reservations. She was not really thrilled about what was going on.
But he was very much ingrained in the family.
He was, but she saw what he put Becca through when he broke up with her.
Yeah. Well, I think as the mom, which people don't realize, she was definitely hurt too.
I was just going to say, which doesn't surprise me that you said it too, like as a mom, you feel what your kids are feeling.
Well, that also, but like you spend all this time with this one person, and then all of a sudden they go, fuck her and fuck your whole family. I'm out. I don't want anything to do with
breaking up with the whole family.
Yeah.
In a way, right? So Sonia obviously wanted nothing more than for her daughter to be happy. And clearly what seemed to make her happy in that moment was the idea of getting back together with Josh. But Sonia was definitely picking up on some strange vibes that she couldn't quite put her finger on. Mm-hmm. Maternal instincts are funny like that.
Yeah.
For example, while Becca and Josh had indeed made plans to see each other that day, Josh had gone silent all morning when Becca was attempting to reach him. He totally ghosted her that morning.
Yeah.
And Sonia, of course, was wondering, like, exactly, did he prop her up just to tear her down? She couldn't be sure, and she didn't like it.
Yeah.
But then, as if on cue, while Sonia was like kind of in the thick of like, oh my God, what's he going to do to my daughter now?
Into the thick of it.
Josh texted Becca, and the wheels of the plan to meet up continued to spin.
Yeah.
I don't know what that reference was, so that's why I didn't laugh or stop.
Well, it wasn't for you. It was for everyone else.
Okay.
Who doesn't live in a cave.
In a research bubble. Thank you very much, and you're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right.
So Becca was a bit nervous and actually begged her younger brother Jack to go with her to meet up with Josh, perhaps just to break the ice a bit and to remind Josh that they had once all been so close.
Yeah.
But Jack didn't want to go, and Sonia wasn't going to force him. So in the end...
Oh, wait, hold on. Sonia wanted Jack to go, or Becca wanted Jack to go? Okay.
Becca wanted Jack to go.
Yeah.
Jack didn't want to go. Sonia wasn't going to make Jack go. So in the end, Becca ultimately went by herself.
Jack talked Thai.
Jack talked Thai real good. Great line.
Totally understandable, by the way.
Yeah.
This is not my thing. I don't want to go. And how old is the kid at that point?
Little.
11, 12?
Much
10,
younger.
Whatever. So, yeah, I don't want to go meet up with you and your weird boyfriend that broke up with you.
Exactly.
Hurt you.
So ultimately, Becca got dressed in her high-heeled boots, her best jeans, and her brand new super dry hoodie. And she went alone.
She was a hype beast, huh?
She was cool, man. She really was. Like, her personality, forgetting about her cool style, which I totally jam with because she was like a little bit punk based on the pictures, but also girly,
yeah,
which I feel like maybe could be used to describe my style, maybe. But her personality, like, she was such a giver, and she had such plans for the future to give back to the world. Just such a great girl, young woman.
She probably wasn't even going to take it either.
I doubt she would ever take it. Can you imagine that? No, you can't.
I can't, no.
No, you can't.
It sounds very unsatisfying.
So before she left to go meet Josh, Sonia gave Becca some cash so that she and Josh could grab some pizza that night if all had gone well. And that visual haunts me. That's one of the parts that I actually cried, like put the book down, real tears. Thinking about Sonia giving Becca some money for pizza, like taking care of your baby like that, who's not really a baby anymore, but like really hoping for her sake that things go well. I don't know. It's just something like a mommy does.
But you don't think anything bad is going to happen?
No.
Even if you do, kind of, you push it away because you go, I'm being paranoid, I'm being protective, I got to let her be her own person and figure out her own things, learn from her own mistakes, whatever. Mm-hmm. In her defense, the mother's defense, there is absolutely no way she could have, unfortunately, I hate to say this because it sounds cold and callous, but she could not have prevented this.
No, she couldn't have.
Except to lock her daughter in the room, which...
No, there's one person and one person only to blame for what happened.
Josh.
Correct.
Oh, which Josh?
The OJ, the original Josh. So
that was funny because OJ killed someone.
I know. It was a double entendre.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
Should I just stop now?
I don't think you can top that.
I think I should end on that.
All
okay.
Right. Thanks for listening, guys, if you made it this far.
Guys, it's only going to go down from here for me. So Becca grabbed her purse. She grabbed Sonia's BlackBerry, since it held a longer charge than Becca's iPhone did, and said, "Bye, ma'am. I love you."
Bye, ma'am?
M-A-M.
Oh, well.
I know. That's what I was trying to say to you before, that like we have the same words, but we say it differently.
Yeah.
So it's ma'am.
Yeah.
And then she headed out to meet Josh. Just after 1 p.m., Becca called Sonia to let her know that she'd arrived at Sarn train station, which is where she and Josh were scheduled to meet. Sonia was confused as to why Becca was there at a train station, when that had not been their original plan, mind you. But Becca indicated that Josh changed the plan last minute while also instructing her not to let anyone see her. Okay.
Josh said that?
Yeah. All right.
Did she tell her mom that?
No, she didn't tell. I'm sorry. Yes, she did tell her mom that because I'm about to get to that. And this was obviously very odd. But Sonia felt that Josh was playing on this being like their little secret type of encounter, building the suspense, just being dramatic. Probably Sonia thinking just him being controlling, like, I'm telling you not to let anyone see you and you're going to listen.
Yeah.
It was a little bit part of his personality to do that. It wasn't so bizarre.
And are trains a big part of Welsh culture or transportation?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Because trains, obviously, for certain people are like, how the hell did they find a train station? Like,
No, the train station wasn't like out of left field necessarily, but it wasn't their originally agreed upon meeting place.
Okay.
So when Becca said that she was meeting him there, Sonia was like, why? That's not where you were supposed to meet.
Yeah.
So, but remember this, okay, that these plans are changing, okay? So nobody pressed the issue about how Josh told Becca not to let anybody see her, all right? Becca indicated while she was on the phone with Sonia that she had just seen Josh's brother, Jordan, but that she hid because, like Josh instructed her, nobody was supposed to see her. She also saw a boy from school, the boy she previously dated, Josh Humphreys, and she hid from him as well. But all of this is happening while she's on the phone with Sonia, okay? So she's saying to Sonia, I'm seeing these people, but I'm not going to let them see me. But then at the very end, she says to Sonia, I don't know, I might go say hello to Josh Humphreys since Josh Davies is already very late meeting me and I'm pissed.
Okay.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So this is all just sort of background information. However, Becca decided to, instead of saying hi to Josh Humphreys, to phone Josh Davies instead, who again instructed her to change her course and to meet him now on Church Street. So this is now the third location that he's given her. Bizarre.
Yeah.
But intentional.
Probably just delaying the process, getting nervous, whatever. I don't know.
It's more calculated than even that.
Really?
Yep. So Becca called Sonia back at this point to notify her that there'd been yet another change in plans and that she was now walking over the bridge, heading into the tunnel and trying to avoid a group of sus-looking boys sitting in a car nearby. Sonia instructed Becca to stay on the phone with her until she felt safe and until she saw Josh, which is exactly what she did.
Okay.
Once Sonia heard Becca say, "It's okay, Mom, there's Josh, he's walking down the hill now," was Sonia okay to hang up? Then Becca uttered the last words she'd ever say to her mother. "Bye, Mom. I love you." So before we get into the absolutely mind-boggling, horrific event that unfolded next, let me first tell you about where Josh had been all morning and why he'd been so late to meet Becca that day. Josh met with some of his friends for breakfast at a place called Cafe 107 in Aberystwyth, South Wales, which is something he did every Saturday morning along with rugby training. At the cafe, he met up with his friends Daniel Ninnis and Liam Thomas, per usual, and began talking shit about Becca, per usual. So this is the morning that he's supposed to be meeting Becca.
That's what he does with his time?
Every Saturday morning, yeah.
What a fucking idiot.
But on this occasion, Josh's typical shit-talking took a shockingly sinister turn. Because on this day, Josh indicated to his friends that he wanted to kill Becca. His friends brushed it off as Josh being dramatic and having this like machismo, not thinking for one moment that he was being serious. Then Josh began to embellish upon his sick homicidal fantasy and openly discussed various ways in which he could carry out her murder.
Yeah, I feel like even as a 15, 16-year-old kid, it depends on how it's said, obviously, but if he was like, oh, dude, Becca, I'm going to fucking kill her.
Right.
That's different than getting quiet and looking at the two boys and going, guys,
here's what I'm thinking.
I'm going to kill Becca.
And here's how I'm going to do it.
I mean, immediately.
Immediately. So this is what I was saying before, because we were saying how there was one person and one person only to blame. And I do believe that in this case.
Yeah.
But I also can't totally, like good conscience, excuse some of the other people who were they were on the sidelines, to be sure. They had no actual idea or knowledge, rather, that this was going to happen. But the signs were there.
Yeah, the signs were there in retrospect.
In retrospect. And they were kids too, you know? And kids miss things.
Yeah.
And don't take shit seriously. Anyway, so again, he starts talking about all these ways in which he's going to carry out her murder. For example, he started talking about the possibility of taking Becca on a walk along the river and then pushing her in, knowing that she was unable to swim. He also openly considered the option of throwing Becca off of a cliff before dumping her body in a hole, a brutality inspired by the violent Spartan fantasy film 300, which was one of his favorites. He also discussed the option of poisoning Becca and had apparently gone so far as to research ways in which to do this, deciding that if he did indeed go that route, he'd use poisonous plants like foxglove and deadly nightshade so that she could, quote, die in her own filth.
Yeah, there's too much.
And remember this, the poison, okay? Josh openly discussed ways of possibly strangling Becca or bludgeoning her to death, as Daniel Day-Lewis had done with the bowling pin in one of Josh's favorite movies, There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, this guy's watching too many movies.
It's a whole combination of things.
Let me back up. I watch a lot of movies still.
Yeah, you do.
He's just getting different stuff out of them.
It's a combination.
Yes.
Of lots of variables.
He had a preternatural streak.
Preternatural. The takeaway here, aside from the fact that this whole thing is beyond despicable, is that Josh truly enjoyed the graphic, detailed, gory conversation about all of the ways in which he could take Becca's life. He was loving it.
Yeah.
And this further reveals several alarming psychological insights. Primarily, it suggests a profound lack of empathy, a trait often associated with psychopathic or sociopathic behavior. This behavior also reinforces his desire for control and power, with such fantasies providing a perverse sense of dominance over Rebecca's life, or the end of it.
Yeah.
It reflects a detachment from the value of human life in general and an unsettling, abnormal comfort with violence. Finally, at the end of this disgusting rant, Josh's friends, Daniel and Liam, became fed up with Josh for going on and on about something so disturbing, but knowing or believing that he was full of shit, yet he was trying so hard to come across as some kind of badass.
Yeah.
No one actually believed that Josh was going to carry out any of these threats. In fact, in response to Josh's tirade, one of the boys said something to Josh that is largely considered to be the tipping point for his decision to actually move forward with killing Becca. Pop quiz. What did one of the boys say to Josh over breakfast that apparently prompted him to move forward with a plan to kill?
You won't do it.
What? I should have added that one.
Oh, it's not in there?
No.
Okay.
A, that Josh was, quote, a cowardly custard who would never be able to go through with it, so shut the fuck up.
That's what I just said.
I said it differently, so it didn't click, but you did just say that.
A.
Different package.
A.
B, that Becca was far smarter than Josh and would instantly detect that he was up to something, which would thwart his big diabolical plan. Or C, that if Josh went through with killing Becca, he'd buy him breakfast.
A?
Nope.
C.
Yep. I Googled phrases in South Wales, and please correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but cowardly custard came up.
Oh, okay.
And I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
But honestly, what's considered in this case to be the tipping point that actually pushed him towards fantasy to reality was his friend said to him, Liam said to him, if you go through with this, man, I'll buy you breakfast.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
I know, but this is any source you read discusses this.
Well, yeah, people have to pinpoint when it all went wrong, but it was going wrong for so long that...
It could have been anything. It would just happen to be that.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
More correlation than causation.
Got it. Later on, Josh texted Liam saying, don't say anything, but you may just owe me a breakfast. Then, on the day of the tragic murder, before Josh left to meet Becca, he told Liam, the time has come. Also, the day before the murder, on October 22nd, Josh ominously updated his Facebook profile picture to an image of the woods. So historically, Josh had a pattern of changing his profile picture before revealing significant news in his life that he considered to be momentous. And changing his profile picture signaled to his followers that he was soon going to be announcing something big or doing something epic, almost like a teaser that was intended to build hype. Do you remember that? You remember changing your profile picture to like match whatever was happening in your life?
No.
No?
Well, I'm not a psychopath. Did you do that?
No.
I don't think I thought anybody was truly paying attention enough for me to do that.
Well, now you got a lot of eyes on you on the internet, so.
Now I can't change my profile.
Exactly. So after changing his profile picture, Josh then texted Becca and suggested that they meet, which brings us back to the point in the case where Rebecca woke up at 6:30 a.m. on the morning of Saturday, October 23rd, with butterflies in her tummy over the plan to meet Josh.
And she woke up and took a bubble bath?
She couldn't sleep. She was too excited. Yeah. So she took a bath.
At 6:30 in the morning. I mean, I guess that's 6:30 at night for her because she hasn't gone to bed.
I mean, I get up at 5 every single morning.
You jump in a bubble bath right away and pass right back out?
I don't pass right back out, but I could easily I could do anything at 6:30. I've been up for an hour and a half.
Yeah, especially if you took a bubble bath. Do you know what a sleeping pill that is?
Oh, maybe. I'm not a bath person, so. So if you recall, Josh texted Becca and instructed her to meet him at a new location after she'd already waited at the original spot for a long time, hiding, as Josh directed.
Yeah.
Right? So now Josh is walking down the hill to meet up with Becca after telling her to meet him at 3 different locations, and she just hung up the phone with her mom and said, "Bye, Mom. I love you." Ma'am.
Yeah.
Under the guise of a casual stroll, Josh led Becca into the secluded depths of Aberconfig Park, his demeanor as cold and removed as a butcher guiding a lamb to its inevitable slaughter. Then the tranquility of the park was instantly shattered when Josh, with a sudden and horrifying swiftness, clasped his hands around Becca's neck in an effort to snap it.
What?
Becca's screams pierced the silence, a desperate plea for life amidst the encroaching shadow of death. In a moment of unspeakable brutality, Josh suddenly crouched down as his fingers wrapped around a large rock from the earth below. With a relentless fury, he brought the rock down upon Becca's skull, over and over and over again, until the sound of resistance was replaced by a haunting stillness and Becca lay motionless, her light extinguished, and her head caved in.
Okay, so this is probably not a great point in the case to say this, but there's no one better at this than you. I can't even imagine someone could even think for a second that they could hold a candle to you as a true crime podcaster.
Thank you, Tank. Truly. I feel like maybe...
Again, maybe not the best time to bring it up because it's so sad, but I was so struck by the description that...
No, I appreciate that. Listen, the description is meant to paint a picture because...
Yeah, I'm there. I hate it.
Listen, I know, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to feel this. I felt this during the research for the past year, trying to do this case over and over and over again. So the writing is an expression of what I felt. So if you're feeling it, then I feel like we're doing justice, which I said at the top of the episode was my goal here.
Yes.
So thank you for that. So after this tragic, violent incident, Josh immediately texted Liam to brag about what he'd done. He indicated that he tried to break her neck but was unable to. So out of necessity, he picked up a rock instead. He's fucking texting this. Then he told Liam, quote, "The worst part was feeling and seeing her skull give away."
The worst part, he said.
Yeah, but this is like conversational. Okay. Like the way I would say the worst part of the movie was, when the dog died. Yeah. Like something you would kind of have in a conversation. The worst part was feeling her skull give away. Fuck you. So hard, Josh.
Obviously.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's horrific.
So Becca's...
As if there was a good part in there
I
somewhere.
know. Exactly. Yeah. You're right. That's what's so infuriating.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I enjoyed the strangling, but...
But the worst part...
Fortunately... Like it's a fucking activity.
That's such a good way to... That's why it's so nasty.
Yeah.
Because it implies that there was the good part.
Yeah.
Ugh. Becca's...
Or a best part. Sorry to keep jumping.
No.
Sorry.
Okay.
Just really, this fucking kid sucks.
I know. It's okay. You can interrupt at any point. Becca's beautiful discarded body was discovered the next morning on a raised embankment by a police officer named PC Gemma Tibbet, while Sonia's other daughter Jessica, and Sonia's brother Roger had been frantically scouring the streets and woods looking for her, which I described in the intro.
Oh my God.
When PC Tibbet discovered Becca's body, she noticed that her skin was ashen colored and that her left hand was outstretched and resting on a tan colored bag. Her head was caved in and her beautiful hair was matted in blood.
Did Mom see her?
Hang tight to that question.
Okay.
She didn't see her in the woods though, so
okay.
If that brings you any comfort. So the Major Crimes Unit deployed 2 detectives to Sonia's home, DS Paul Burke and DCI John Penhale, as part of the investigation and to officially inform her that her daughter was gone. Mm-hmm. The first question they asked Sonia was whether or not she knew the 2 boys that they arrested earlier that morning at 9:50 after finding Becca's body.
They arrested Liam and what's his name?
So they didn't arrest Liam. They arrested Joshua Davies and Daniel Ninnis. Sonia indicated in her book that she really didn't know Daniel, so she couldn't really comment to the officer as to his being arrested, but that it seemed inconceivable for Josh to have been an actual person of interest in Becca's murder.
The mom said that?
Yeah, she was floored. Sonia had practically raised Josh in his early teen years, and she felt that she knew him, really knew him, and that he was not capable of this. She didn't love him as her daughter's boyfriend. She didn't love the stunts he pulled, but I think to some extent, the same way we're saying they were young, it was their first relationship, she never believed that the child, because that's what he is, their children, had it in him.
Yeah.
Sonia was convinced that it had to be the other boy that was arrested, Daniel.
I'm surprised she thought it was any of the boys at all. With her not, like, if she's going to think it's a boy, I would think she would think it's Josh.
Yeah, but for the reasons I just explained, like she felt she knew him.
Doesn't compute.
Exactly. Yeah. But Liam Thomas had apparently told his mother about what Josh had done, and he knew for sure that Josh killed Becca, which you're going to hear about in more detail when we discuss the trial. So just put it on ice for a minute. Mm-hmm. But it was Liam's parents who notified the police about Josh, which is what led them to pick him up. Then when they went to arrest Josh pointed the finger at Daniel. So that's why those 2 boys were arrested.
Which, by the way, so much undue pressure on either of these boys to have to, you know what I mean? Like, they should not have been dragged into it, and they were.
Daniel and Liam, you mean?
Daniel and Liam.
Yes.
So the fact that Liam had that weighing on him, I don't love that.
Big time.
Either.
He's going to have a lot more weighing on his conscience than that.
Really?
Yeah. D.S. Burke said something to Sonia at this point that she will never forget. He said to her, quote, "We think it was Josh. I've never seen anything like it. Not ever. He is just pure evil."
Who said that?
The investigator that was telling Sonia that these 2 boys were arrested, and Sonia's going, "Can't be Josh."
Oh, so they spoke to Josh and they saw his evil nature?
The officers, they arrested him earlier that morning.
Okay.
So now Sonia, who's thinking it can't be Josh, sees the investigator looking at her saying, "I've never seen anything like it. He is just pure evil."
Wow.
It's like chilling. Yeah. It is. Sonia said that she felt a wave of nausea hit her like a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Then, out of that protective maternal instinct that I imagine never goes away, not even after the death of a child, Sonia demanded that the officers remove Becca's body from the woods as forensics continued to collect evidence. Mm-hmm. Sonia said, and this absolutely kills me, she said, "I can't bear the thought of her lying there any longer.
Yeah.
You have to move her now, and I have to see her. Please don't leave her alone there. I don't want her lying there another night alone. She's afraid of the dark. You have to move her."
God.
You can see why I was bawling.
I'm not crying. It is.
No, but your eyes are shiny.
Yeah, it's cold in here.
You can let it out. I did. I have. Later that evening at 7 p.m., Sonia headed to the Heath Hospital in Cardiff to formally identify Becca's body. She maintained hope, this is also crushing, that somehow it wouldn't actually be Becca and that somehow law enforcement got it wrong. But of course, this was not the case. As Sonia inched closer towards her daughter's body, she noticed that Becca looked beautiful and peaceful, like an angel. As indicated by Sonia, she had been beautiful in life, and she was beautiful in death. Her cheeks were bruised, her lips were slightly curled up at the edges, almost like she was about to smile, and her head was covered. Mercilessly.
No, but I'll allow it. Mercifully.
That's it. And what little bit of her hair was exposed still had blood on it.
Yeah.
Which she said in the book absolutely infuriated her.
Why? That they didn't clean it?
That they didn't clean it, and that it was like a reminder because she looked so peaceful otherwise.
Yeah.
And then you see this little bit of blood, and it's just this shocking reminder of what she endured in her final moments.
Reality, yeah.
The following morning, Sonia went to the police station, eager to aid the investigation in any capacity that she could. It was there that she revealed a crucial piece of information. Becca's iPhone, which she had left at home. Remember, she chose to take Sonia's BlackBerry instead because it had a longer battery life. Mm-hmm. It revealed all of the text messages from Josh the morning of the murder. One of the messages read, "Come home, Beck. Everyone is worried about you." And this was after the murder. Okay? So this was just painting a picture that Josh had this sinister scheme to try to make it look like he was truly worried about her and that he had no idea what happened to her. Additional text messages on Becca's iPhone provided the blueprint to Josh's elaborate plan, which involved guiding Becca through a series of strategically chosen locations on the day they met. Mm-hmm. So he continuously changed her path with precise instructions, echoing the ones that he'd given her verbally on the phone each time he called her to say, "Just kidding, meet me here. Just kidding, now meet me there." And the motive behind redirecting Becca to various spots was to frame Josh Humphreys for the crime.
How did he know Josh Humphreys would be at the
He didn't
station?
know that, but he was leading Becca along routes associated with Josh Humphreys. Like one was like at the edge of his block. I think one was in a place where he typically walks, which is why Becca saw him. And it was aimed to mislead law enforcement into suspecting Josh Humphreys, thereby diverting suspicion away from him.
Yeah.
Calculated motherfucker.
Yeah.
Of course, Josh Davies was not as smart as he thought he was, and the Maesteg police formally charged him with Rebecca Aylward's murder. He was held at a secure unit for young people just outside Bristol at a place called Viney Green. Then, on June 20th, 2011, the trial began in Swansea Crown Court in Room 1. Sonia wore a white Becca hoodie to court every single day.
God.
And it was white, just like the color of her coffin, to represent Becca's innocence.
She had to pick up that sweatshirt every day, put it on, look at herself.
Well, guess what? So did Josh, and that's why she did it. She said she wore that sweatshirt every single day so that in court, Josh would have to confront Becca's name every single day. The only thing is he only ever looked at Sonia one time during the entire trial, and when he did, he smiled.
Oh.
Yeah. So that happened.
You better have some good news at the end of this case.
Sonia, however, never took her eyes off of Josh. She even sat sideways so that she could better pierce through him, hoping that he would feel uncomfortable by her clear scrutiny. Mm-hmm. Several mutual friends were called as witnesses during the trial, and Sonia testified as well, through tears, but with incredible strength and a need to see her testimony through to completion. So multiple times they told her that she could stop, and every single time she said no.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to power through this. Mm-hmm. Then video testimony of Liam Thomas was presented to the court, and Liam explained the bet that was made over breakfast and the fact that on the day of the murder, Josh met him and Daniel at Daniel's house and instructed every one of the boys, that was such a weird inflection, and instructed every one of the boys to bring shovels to the park that afternoon.
Every one of the boys.
I don't know why that happened, but it did. So they went to breakfast.
Yeah.
Then they went back to Daniel's house. He told them, come to the park this afternoon and bring shovels.
Okay.
Liam also testified that by the time Josh left Daniel's house at 1 p.m. the day of the murder, he truly still did not believe that Josh was actually going to go through with it, even though Josh announced, which I mentioned earlier, The time has come.
Yeah, but of course you don't think.
Totally.
You know?
Totally. My kids also tell me they're going to like eat every cookie in the bag when they take it out. Like, watch, I'm going to eat every single. They're 4 cookies in. It never happens.
It's a little different, but.
Obviously. But I'm just trying to say, like, you don't.
No.
You know what I mean?
People say shit
exactly
all the time. Like, I could shuffle better than you, or I'm going to do a Britney Spears impression. Like, they don't follow through, is what I'm saying.
I just want to go home.
Oops.
After about an hour and a half passed, okay, Liam.
What?
Well, you interrupted me so many times.
It just reminded me of when you ask somebody what time it is. They're like, 30 past. Like, 30 past what?
Well, the thing is, you know,
1:45.
We've like digressed.
All right, fine.
An hour passed after Josh left Daniel's house, after he told the boys to meet him later with shovels. Okay, we're talking about the testimony that was delivered about the day of the murder. All right. So Liam called Josh the day of the murder that afternoon to find out what happened.
You know, what the hell's going on?
Right. Which is also like, but you said you didn't think anything was happening. Now you're calling him to find out what happened.
If something happened, probably hoping that it didn't.
I know, but if you even had a little bit something going off, a little spidey tingle, that's something.
You can't fucking call the police over a spidey tingle.
No, you can't. You can't. But, and I'm really honestly not suggesting that Liam at all could have prevented this, or I'm not blaming him at all, but it's a little frustrating.
Of course it is, but that's life. These situations suck across the board.
It does. So when Josh picked up the phone, Liam asked if he was with Becca, to which Josh replied through giggles, "Define with." Then he asked the boys to meet him at the forest entrance, which they did, arriving at about 2:40 p.m. They didn't bring shovels. Now, Liam was on crutches at the time, so he couldn't actually walk through the forest, which meant that Daniel went in alone. A few minutes later, Daniel came out of the forest, found Liam again, and indicated that he'd just seen Becca lying face down on the forest floor. Josh described to Daniel, when Daniel went to see the body, what he'd done and how he tossed the rock that he used to bludgeon Becca into a bush, which 3 English Springer Spaniel cadaver dogs later found.
Always dogs.
Always. Josh also mentioned that there had been some blood on Becca's face, which is why he chose to roll her over and have her lying face down. Then Josh instructed Liam and Daniel to delete all of their text messages and to serve as his alibi, indicating to anyone who asked that they'd all been hanging out together all afternoon.
All right, so now that it's feeling like they're a little bit more guilty of that.
Dang, right? I mean, Liam did tell his parents.
Yeah.
But it just feel like...
It was already done, first of all.
Yes.
At that point.
Yes.
So Liam did the right thing.
Yes. Daniel Ninnis provided similar testimony next, because everything I just said was part of the testimony that Liam delivered.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Daniel added details about how, you know, Liam was the one to offer to buy Josh breakfast if he'd actually go through with the murder. And of course, that is the line that all of the headlines printed the next day.
Really
that the sinister deal is what made Josh ultimately decide to go through with it.
Yeah, not because he's a cold-blooded killer, because he was going to get pancakes.
Right. It was actually called a fry-up, and it was going to be a hot breakfast.
I was going to get a Rooty Tooty Fresh and Fruity.
God.
So the media is so fucking stupid.
Disgusting. So before we go on to discuss the evidence, I have a pop quiz for you.
Cool. Yeah, I like pop quizzes.
Okay.
It's been a while.
What did Josh do immediately after Becca's murder before picking up Liam's call, when Liam was calling to find out what happened? Okay. But Becca was already gone at this point. A, he headed quickly over to Cafe 107 and ordered every single breakfast item off the menu with a text in his phone that he never actually sent saying, "I earned this."
Okay.
B, left a post on Facebook that said, "A chip off the old block," referring to his father, whom Josh had always boasted had once cracked a man's skull with his bare hands. Or C, updated his profile picture on Facebook to someone taking a bow.
Okay, so right off the bat, we say this guy Josh grew up in a nice household. You said that multiple times. His father broke somebody's head with his hand.
His bare hands. This is what he says. Whether it happens or not, I don't know.
I mean, there's no reason not to believe it. But let's say
There's also no reason to believe it. He's not well, Josh. Like
maybe
he also said
he's not well.
he also said Becca was pregnant. Like he's a liar. But
true.
But I hear you. It's possible.
Very true. Okay. So I think he either ordered all the breakfast, he boasted or something, and then he posted a different picture on Facebook of
I was amazed that you remember the answers.
Yeah, me too. Ordered the breakfast stuff.
No.
I knew that was made up.
And yet you chose it.
Temporarily.
You get one shot.
Do not miss your chance to blow.
Yeah, you missed it.
C.
Nope.
B.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally normal household this guy came from. His fucking father broke somebody's skull with his bare hands.
Right. Well, I guess no matter how you slice it, it's not normal. The fact that he felt the need to brag about something that never happened or the fact that it did happen.
Exactly.
All right. In terms of the evidence that was discovered and presented during trial, and some of this shit is crazy, all right? Well, first of all, let's start with like the not crazy maybe.
Shout out to our Irish listeners, by the way. Totally unrelated.
Okay. 300 fibers.
He likes it.
You ready?
Yeah.
First, 300 fibers were recovered from the rock that was used to kill Becca and analyzed by a forensic scientist from London named Justin Scott. Those fibers matched what Becca had been wearing, and also a black hoodie recovered from Joshua. Who's Joshua all of a sudden?
Yeah, he's formal now.
Recovered from Josh's grandmother's home, which is where he had been staying at the time of his arrest and where he attempted to build an additional alibi. Mm-hmm. So he put on all of these TV shows apparently, so that he can like reference them to the detectives and be able to say, I was watching these TV shows. Look, I know what time they started and everything.
That's that when I used to have my other podcast, Think Tank, and someone had a book, I realized it eventually, but I used to read like the first chapter of their book, and then I'd always bring up the thing that happened in the first chapter of their book, and they must have been like,
Did anybody call you out on that?
No, but then I started like skipping in and diving into different chapters, but not reading like the first 6.
Right. That's funny. Additionally, ink fragments from Becca's nail polish had also been found at the scene, including on the rock that killed her. But it's what was found in Josh's grandmother's house that would send shockwaves through the courtroom. A Halloween pot, the kind used by kids going trick-or-treating, was found on the floor of the shed in his grandmother's backyard next to a PlayStation and some gardening books, okay?
Is that what they call playgrounds in Wales?
What?
PlayStation?
No, there was a PlayStation in the shed.
Like a video game console?
Yeah, a PlayStation and some gardening books in a shed.
That's fucking weird, but okay.
It's better than a fucking playground being inside of a shed.
Well, I they said they use different words.
They do.
Yeah, okay,
So far I said 2 words that are different from us. Ma'am and tea, like tea for dinner.
Never heard you say that.
I said it in the beginning, you tuned me out.
I'm not saying you didn't say it.
Okay. But listen to what was in that pot. Mm-hmm. It was a murky brown liquid containing a number of seeds. According to a forensic scientist named Ian Humphreys, because we just recycle names in this case, who specialized in, listen to this, poisons, drugs, and bodily fluids. Need that on my resume. Need.
What?
Yeah.
You want that on
Yes, I do. The contents of that fluid included nicotine, caffeine, and as I said, 21 seeds. And the compounds present in those seeds were liquid digoxin, better known as foxglove, as well as 2 cardiac glycosides, which is something that will essentially induce heart attack.
Okay.
And sure enough, months prior to Becca's murder, Becca had fallen inexplicably ill with the horrific, undiagnosed at the time stomach issue that caused her to collapse and spend days in the hospital. Looking back, it became clear to Sonia and to Sonia's family that Josh had tried to poison Becca with the contents of that Halloween pot.
Wow. Back then.
So he was on a warpath for this poor girl. Now it was time for Josh Davies to testify. According to Josh, Daniel Ninnis met him and Becca at Pennsylvania Park after Josh and Becca told him to meet him there as part of a prank. Okay, so this is what Josh is saying happened.
Okay.
After Daniel arrived and realized that he'd been set up for this prank, he lost his shit, grabbed Becca by the wrist, threw her to the ground, and bashed her over the head with a rock.
That's what Daniel said happened?
No, this is what Josh is saying happened.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, listen, we were trying to fuck around with Daniel.
Yeah.
We invited him. He did not like our little prank,
Yeah.
and he snapped.
Oh, he grabbed her and bashed her head.
Exactly. He's pinning it on Daniel.
Yeah.
Obviously, this story was complete bullshit on so many levels, and all of the overwhelming evidence pointed to Josh's guilt and Josh alone. But this was his defense, nevertheless, okay?
Yeah.
Needless to say, 4.5 weeks later, the trial concluded on July 27th, 2011, and after 19 hours and 55 minutes of deliberation, the jury found Joshua Davies guilty.
Good.
And Justice David Lloyd Jones sentenced him to be jailed indefinitely.
Perfect.
With the possibility of parole in 14 years if, and only if, he both admitted to his crime and showed remorse. As the judge delivered the sentence, Josh, for the first time, cried.
Yeah.
Not for Becca
For him.
or for what he'd done, but for himself.
Yeah. Josh's defense was, no, he did it.
Yeah.
Sick fucking defense, dude.
Justice Jones said the following while delivering the sentence, quote, "You have shown yourself to be devious, calculated, and controlling. You have shown no remorse. You killed Rebecca in the most brutal way when you struck her repeatedly to the back of her head with a heavy stone, fragmenting her skull. Her death will leave a permanent shadow over the lives of the members of her family, the effect of which has been devastating."
Yeah.
Apparently, 8 years into his sentence, Josh eventually confessed to the crime.
Really?
1 year before his parole eligibility, Sonia vowed to do everything in her power to block his release from prison and made the following public statement.
Of course.
He will kill again.
Yeah.
Joshua's sentence is shorter than Rebecca's life. It's an insult. That cowardly monster planned to kill my beautiful daughter in the most horrific way possible. He should never be released. Sonia had also issued a plea for tougher sentences for murderers, which came after the Justice Secretary Alex Chalk plan, which was to unveil for stricter jail terms for those who murder their ex-partners. And Sonia said to that, "I'm ashamed of our laws in the UK. They are archaic, and I want to know why murderers are offered such different sentences. If you've taken a life, you should serve a life. It's as simple as that." That's what Sonia said.
Okay.
She's such a boss. Technically, as I said, Josh will be eligible for parole in October 2024.
No.
No.
I'm saying no.
I know. It's like in a second.
I know. Christopher Walken?
Oh, my God.
The UK, right?
Yeah.
What is it? Because we're talking about whales. And
Google it.
no, it's the United Kingdom is not just
England? No. No.
England. It's Ireland, but why are they united?
I don't know. It's England.
Oh, Northern Ireland. Yeah, true.
It's England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. Now I know.
Good. All right. We're wrapping up here, but first I just want to talk motive and psychology. What?
I'm laughing at myself and him.
But not because you think this is taking too long.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Let's talk motive and psychology of this little fuck. Yes? Professor Wilson, who's a former prison governor turned criminologist, found Becca's murder by Josh, quote, baffling. He suggested that Josh might have committed the act to avoid losing face given the numerous threats he'd made across various platforms. He also noted that Josh's behavior showed signs of psychopathy, characterized by callousness and a lack of empathy. He even called a friend to look at the body, Wilson remarked, highlighting the psychopathic trait of what's known as shallow affect, which I'm sure you know about. Josh.
Why?
Oh, because you know about psychology. No, I'm not suggesting that you have it.
But you know all about, you shallow affected piece of shit.
I wasn't going there.
You were, but it's okay.
Josh feigned emotions he thought were expected of him, such as sympathy towards Becca's mother, because after the murder, he said something in the woods to Daniel along the lines of, I feel badly for Becca's mom. She's going to be so worried about why Becca's not coming home.
But with no depth to it.
None.
Yeah.
Shallow, right?
Affect.
Wilson, who has interacted with many serial killers through his work in high security prisons, believes that no one is born evil, but that certain events can lead a child to act in heinous ways. He stressed the importance of understanding the underlying issues behind such actions, which I agree with. Mm-hmm. If you ask Sonia why she believes Josh killed her daughter, she'd likely say something that she said in her book, which is, he's as cold as the rock he killed Becca with. Like, end of.
Yeah.
Dr. Carrie Nixon, this is now I think the third time I'm mentioning her, believes that Josh was a very controlling individual with all the hallmarks of a domestic abuse perpetrator. He was too young to be officially diagnosed with any personality disorder, but he certainly demonstrated traits that would point to that direction in the future.
Yeah.
He wanted to take control of her, break her down and destroy her, and he ultimately did the worst thing he possibly could.
Yeah.
Rebecca Oatley Aylward was tenderly laid to rest on November 18th, 2010, amidst a floral display that mirrored her dreams of one day being surrounded by white lilies at her wedding. Her name was delicately spelled out in an array of white carnations, interwoven with dark red roses and sprigs of baby's breath, creating a visual representation of her vibrant spirit. Her younger brother, Jack, wanting to keep her cherished memories alive, selected a beautiful white floral bear to represent Becca's favorite teddy bear, Angel. She was gently placed in a pure, handcrafted white coffin adorned with gold rosary beads, while a guardian angel charm was lovingly placed in her right hand, signifying her family's hope for her peaceful rest. In the wake of Becca's tragic departure, her family endures a relentless torment, trapped between the grief of their loss and the haunting memories that persist. Sonia has encapsulated the heartbreak with such poignant clarity, and she said, I don't know which part is worse, being asleep and having nightmares or lying awake remembering.
Yeah, and living one.
Yeah, and that is how I'm choosing to end the case.
I think that's a solid note to end the case on.
Yeah.
Remember the mom and the girl.
And maybe
Jack.
support the mom. Her book, beautifully written, a really lovely tribute. It's called By Ma'am, M-A-M, I Love You, by Sonia Oatley. So this case is devastating.
Yeah.
Right? And it's also like terrifying that such a young perpetrator displayed such big problems.
Yeah, this case was rough, very rough. To listen to, I can imagine how tough it must have been.
Yeah,
for you to do.
Sonia is so relatable.
Yeah,
like she is so human and so down to earth. Mm-hmm. It's not like an investigative journalist writing a piece about a murder. And I'm not saying that like investigative journalists aren't empathetic or kind, and because they are, but they're a step obviously removed. To read the mother's words. And she's such a seemingly down to earth, like I could see myself
mom
being friends with her. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
she writes beautifully. She speaks. She writes how I imagine she speaks, like very down to earth. I don't know, which unfortunately put me in her shoes more than I cared to be.
Yeah.
And in doing that, I was in a rough place
yeah.
during the research for this case for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of writing.
Yeah.
I have a Tanks tidbit.
Oh.
Tanks titties.
Give it here.
Bounce those boys. Those bad boys. So on Threads, which is a new app made by Instagram, there is a whole genre of content which is people complaining about Instagram. It's fucking wild.
Wow.
It's so annoying and such misplaced energy. Years ago, I wrote something like, if you're a creative person, create so much and so often that you don't have time to complain about its response. So like as a creative person, which you are, you create things out of nothing. Like this episode didn't exist before you created it. I create. If you want to be creative, like there's people who think they're creative or they're content creators or whatever, and they're not. Mm-hmm. It's the unfortunate truth of the way things go. they want to be. Like, I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, but once I actually did it, I found out I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. So, if you're a creative person, like, and you want to make it somewhere in this world, whatever you do, whether you are a seamstress, a fucking a small movie maker, a mom who's creating a nice environment for her kids or whatever, the complaining thing just it makes less and less sense to me.
What's the point of it over there on Threads?
Because Adam Mosseri's on there heavily, and they think they're going to get his attention and change his mind about the way the fucking CEO of Instagram should run Instagram.
Wow.
Some person with 7,000 followers who isn't reaching their audience.
Yeah.
Do better. Make better content.
Or get off Instagram if you
leave
hate
it, or leave it alone.
It's just, hey, you can remove yourself from a situation that you don't like.
It's always been weird to me that people would complain about the platform that they're on the platform that they're on.
Right.
But now it's taken a whole new turn. And people are like, because they see the post do well, because other people, other content creators, quote unquote, who don't do well, like the post, they comment, they boost that up. So then they go, I'm just going to fucking write a post complaining about Instagram. It does well. People like it. Stop. Get some help. It's Michael Jordan, baby. Again, thank you for doing all that work. I can tell. I always know that you put a lot of work in, but I can see how that one would be tough for you to finish and get through.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing the levity.
Yeah.
Just when we needed it the most.
I was pretty funny this episode.
You're always pretty funny.
No, this one especially. I'm excited to listen to it.
The Michael Jordan of comedy.
Stop. Get some help. Thank you for listening out there, and thank you for watching. And if you made it this far, you're a real one. Hit subscribe because we need you. We want you. Not to make it weird, but we're depending on you to help us pay for our house and keep our house hot. Table business isn't going so well. So we will see you guys at the next episode.
Thank you for listening.
Bye. What is her job?